Hello, British Damon519 here. Welcome to a retrospective on Dragonspire. Yes, hello everybody, it's your host Damon519. Today we're going to be talking about the Dragonspire demo that either is very close to ending or has already ended by the time you guys are watching this video. I've been playing this demo for about a week now and I wanted to give you guys my general thoughts on the game. First things first, we're gonna go over some general information about what this Dragonspire like, how does it play, all that kind of stuff before I give my thoughts on the combat and all that. A few things to keep in mind: this was a combat-based demo, so while I will be giving my overall thoughts, we do have to remember that not everything that they have behind the scenes has been shown yet in every aspect of the game. Now, of course, what is Dragonspire? For those who want to know, it's a roguelike co-op game. It is no secret that the game has taken some inspiration from the very well-praised, fairly deserved well-praised mobile gacha game Dragalia Lost. One of the best parts of the game was the ability to play with your friends and how fun and repeatable that formula was. From my playtime in the demo of Dragonspire, that same kind of feeling that I had playing Dragalia with my friends back in the day has awakened. It is still a bit faint, but if just the demo can make me enjoy playing with my friends this much, I cannot wait for what the full game has to offer. For those who want to try it, there is a demo live right now if you're watching this video in the first 24 hours. Maybe a little bit longer after that, I do not know, but what I do know is that on Tuesday, the 27th of June, a early access will be released, if I have that date correctly. If not, my apologies, but it's the 27th of June, a paid early access, and you will apparently have a 30% discount if you buy it somewhere early on. I don't know if that is permanent until the end of the release, or if that is simply for a little bit after the prices go live. Now, what does the game play like? The demo was mainly focused on providing us a short combat-focused experience. As so, we will be discussing the combat portion of the gameplay primarily. In Dragonspire, you can play matches with up to 3 players. Visibility is done by a slightly angled top-down view akin to what we're used to seeing in Legend of Zelda games of Dragalia Lost. This angle works very well for this type of game because your positioning on the map can mean life or death in certain situations. Because of this, it's extremely important to be able to view your surroundings in one go rather than having to spin around from looking at a first-person perspective. Each character in the demo had a handful of ways to deal damage and enhance their movements, some of which are a dash. Basically, by pressing the space bar, you would be granted a temporary invincibility and mobility boost that would save you basically in red attack areas. More about red attack areas later on. Once it is used, it would need to recharge for a few seconds. However, the player can hold up to 2 stacks of dashes on them at the same time. A basic attack, which was activated by pressing the first mouse button and on repeated use, would unleash an auto combo. A charge attack, which as the name indicates, could be charged up to a couple of times to do more damage. For some character 4 times, for some character 3 times. I don't know if maybe Serena has 5 or 4 as well. Last off, we have a dash attack, which could be triggered by pressing the attack button during a dash. Basically, what this would do is it would still play out the entire animation of you being invincible, but afterwards it would do the attack, or sometimes while doing the dash, it would do the attack. Those were all the basic combat attacks. However, there were a few more that you can use. There's 2 methods of dealing a lot of damage in a short amount of time. First off are skills. Each character has 2 skills, which could be used to do big damage, pull enemies together, inflict debuffs, do damage over time in a small area, etc. I'm sure we'll see a lot more variants of skills in the early access and in the full game. These attacks had cooldowns, but unlike the dashes where they would refresh after a certain amount of time had passed, the skill cooldowns would refresh after a certain amount of hits. There would be a number on the skill after being used, and every time you would do a basic attack, the number would go down by 1 until it reached 0 and you can do your attack again. Another way to lower it would be by using charged attacks. The more you charge your attack, the more it will make the counter go down. For example, a fully charged Breeze charge attack would make the counter go down by a set of 4 rather than a set of 1. A few things to note about this is that dash attacks, skills, and ultimate attacks do not lower these cooldowns. Last off, of course, we just mentioned the ultimates. Ultimates have a very big cooldown that works the same way as the skills do. However, these big boys deal a ton of damage and grant you invincibility while they are active. Next up, of course, we have the enemies. To round up the basic info before we go into my actual thoughts on the demo, we'll handle this off first. The demo consists of a singular fight with 4 waves. The first wave was a set of weak and easy to kill enemies. A second wave was similar to wave 1, but these enemies had way bigger HP pools, attacked with super armor, and were overall a bigger pain in the behind. These first 2 waves also deemed as a good place to help players save time by optimizing their efficiency, while also saving their big attacks like their ults for the mini-boss. Speaking of mini-bosses, wave 3, Desmo. Good old Desmo, a boss that gave people a run for their money on their first attempt. I somehow managed to solo this guy with Naomi on my first attempt because my teammates DC'd. However, it wasn't easy and it basically ate all of my remaining time. I barely was even able to do a bit of damage to the real boss, aka Wave 4, before the timer was already up. Desmo is the first boss type enemy, more seen as a mini boss, that you would meet in the demo. He would have a set of different attacks. He would pick one of those attacks at random, reaching from a simple bite attack that launches him a bit forward, to standing in the middle of the map, shooting out a laser from his face and spinning in circles, to shooting a billion golden orbs around him in a circular motion. Yeah, the orbs kinda still haunt my dreams, not gonna lie. Luckily enough, he doesn't do too much damage on most of his attacks. So as long as you can use the healing item or spread it across your teammates properly and avoid the handful of attacks that he does that actually do a good chunk of damage, you should be fine in most cases. Now for the big boss themselves, Riptide. Look, I still have no clue if it's a he or a she, so from now on I'm just gonna refer to Riptide as Riptide and that's just the end of it. Speaking of Riptide though, oh boy, the first part of their name is very accurate because you die a lot. This fight has some extremely well-designed attack patterns though. Let's hope that my lazy ass edits the correct gameplay footage on the screen because if I don't, then the praising of the attack patterns would not make a whole lot of sense. So let's start off by naming a few attacks they can do. Riptide can launch towards the enemy as well as do 2 strong but short-ranged bites towards the player. Now that's about all for the easy attacks. He has one like bubble attack that he shoots forward, but like that's all the easy attacks. Now on to the attacks that haunt my nightmares. Whirlpools are the bane of my existence. Maybe IGN was onto something when they used too much water as a critique in their reviews. Riptide has 2 whirlpool attacks, one where they have 3 layers of whirlpools that spin in opposite directions from the layer they are adjacent to. 2. These are relatively easy to dodge. Hell, Breeze can even straight up ignore the gravitational pull of the whirlpools or their ability to pull you in and just do more damage with her first skill. The second whirlpool attack spawns a number of whirlpools with random movement patterns on the map and constantly spawns big water droplets that fall from the sky onto you. If you stop moving for too long, you will take damage from these water droplets. You have to keep moving to avoid them. The bigger issue is that every time this attack comes back, or every time Riptide decides to use this attack again, the water droplets actually become bigger, which is very scary. I'll let y'all know my thoughts on these specific attacks later, but let's just say I'm not the #1 fan of whirlpools, that's for sure. Last off, we have the immunity purple patterns. Remember how I mentioned red attacks before when we were talking about dashing? Yeah, let's bring that back. When dashing, you gain invincibility with a golden glow around you, but this is only from red attacks, which are attacks that you can see being charged up by the enemy and have a red glow in the charge up area, which is the majority of the attacks you'll face in the demo. However, Riptide has 2 purple attacks, which no amount of invincibility will save you from. If you get stuck on a purple attack and you can't get out, you can spam spacebar all you want, my friend, but I think praying at that point is your only option. However, this is where some of the most beautiful attack design in the demo shows itself. You know a purple attack wave is coming because Riptide gets a flowing water-like texture effect around itself, and your attacks will stop doing damage. The first 2 times it happens, the pattern is the same and it's relatively easy to follow, right? You can usually just stand in a spot and then move a bit to the bottom and then back to the top. It would usually keep switching between 2 locations. It's very easy to follow. However, the third purple wave, which triggers near the end of the fight, is the real beauty here when we look at design. As you can see on the gameplay, the purple area keeps forcing me to go towards the center of the map. After which point, the rest of the map will become the living incarnation of death. If you were standing anywhere else than in the center column or row, you would be taking damage. This process repeats itself again by making players go towards the center again, and this time having the opposite column or row be the only safe spot on the map. Now, the great thing about this part is, while I did say it pushes you towards a safe location, you could hypothetically stay in the corner. You could ignore it and not go to the center of the map. This will lead to your death, but it also means that while the game is giving you a path to safety, it doesn't force/handhold you to take that path. It doesn't even tell you that it is a path. For all you know, it could be like the same first 2 purple patterns where you just keep swapping between one of 2 places and you can survive. The final part of the attack pattern has you rush towards one of 3 locations on the map. There is 3 squares on the map that are safe. Every other spot is purple. Each of these safe spots has a golden orb. When you pick it up, you gain a shield. If you have that shield, you will be able to tank a single hit for free. Which is useful because after you grab the shield, if you made it to the shield, the entire map becomes purple. Nowhere is safe. If you picked up the shield, you will be able to survive the hit. The purple hit. However, if you did not pick up the shield, you're most likely dead. While it is possible to survive a single purple hit, the chances of you actually making it to a safe space but not having enough time to pick up the shield is very slim to none. So it more than most likely meant that you took already a purple hit, at which point you're basically guaranteed to die. Another thing to note, only having 3 shields on the map also means that when you play with your teammates, you have to coordinate who grabs which shield, because there is not enough time to run from one shield location to the other. Trust me, we tried. Now let's finish it off with my thoughts on the game. Now that we have concluded the basics for the demo, a quick disclaimer beforehand. This is a demo. So while some of my critiques later on might seem or sound accurate to we have to remember that we are set in a very specific user journey right now with a lot of limitations and pathways closed off to us. So do keep that in mind. A lot of this stuff can and probably will be fixed or have more features introduced that will make these critiques less big of a deal by the time early access or full release comes around. The first thing I'm going to talk about doesn't really have anything to do with the game per se, but it is extremely important to me personally. I want to speak on the biggest factor for my passion for this game, Starmie. For those who do not know, Starmie is the company that is making Dragonspire, and they have been an absolute joy to be around. They are extremely down to earth, communicate actively with the community. Hell, communicate is too soft of a word. They really integrate themselves in the community and interact with us in tons of ways. They discuss alongside us, they hang out with us in VC sometimes. We celebrate community achievements like the first solo clears, the first deathless 3 clears, the first damageless clears, which is just insane, right? And of course, even tactics. Like I remember when people were talking about Serena, Brian, one of the developers, came in. One of the higher ups at Starmie came in, and he started talking about how he used Serena and how he was able to get a solo clear with her while testing out the build. Because they added later on the ability to actually properly solo the fights, right? Because the HP wouldn't scale, so they obviously had to test out internally, okay, this is what we see as solo clear, but is it actually possible? Well, I don't know if this type of involvedness involvement from developers in their community is important to everyone, I do know that it is of great importance to me because it shows that developers care. And there is nothing more important to me than developers who care about their community, care about feedback, care about, you know, what we think, and are willing to communicate why they do and do not make certain decisions, right? I do not need developers who will take every community feedback and are like, okay, we'll implement it now. But communication is important because at least then we know why some features are not implemented in and we know what to expect. Or, on the other hand, why some features, the suggestions were altered, or why some are actually getting added in but might be delayed. Or, you know, of course, best case scenario, they're getting added ASAP. Gameplay-wise, I am very excited for the game. Yes, there is a good few amount of things that I would like to see changed. There's a few bugs that are still left. I would like more options for characters because right now they feel really linear. Level up, skill trees, etc. However, these are all things that are either already coming in the full version or they have planned solutions for already. The servers were a bit buggy though at the beginning of the demo, and a few bugs here and there as well along the way. I do hope that the servers are a lot more stable by the time the actual demo releases. Not the actual demo, the full game or even the early access releases. I am fully confident though that the servers will be stable by the time we get the full game. Fully confident on that. The characters all have their own unique personalities and are each already getting some fans, like Naomi fans like me who like bullying our therapists, you have Breeze fans who are totally not part of a cult, save me, and Serena fans which... Okay, I'm gonna be honest, I tried to find something, but there is no joking stereotype about Serena fans yet, so let's see if we can find one later together. Now, there is one major critique though that I have for the demo, and this is actually a critique that can stay around during the full game. The RNG. Well, there might be some logic behind, some internal logic behind what attack Riptide picks out, right? Or when they do it. It is mostly random, right? And it is very painful. The main reason for it is counterability. So for example, the Whirlpool attack leaves barely any time to do actual damage to the boss. Now this wouldn't be an issue if they only had a set amount of times these Whirlpool attacks could appear, right? Between each HP threshold. Kinda like how the purple attacks only appear a total of 3 times in the fight. Without a limitation on this, or even a guarantee, right? If we got like guaranteed each Whirlpool attack appears once every like 1/3 of the HP bar, we at least know what to expect. We have seen people like lose runs by seconds, and then we look back and they get absolutely screwed up by Whirlpools. We have seen people save a lot of time because they didn't get a whole lot of Whirlpools, and Whirlpools are the biggest example in my opinion, but you of course have other attacks like jumping back and all that, but my issue with Whirlpools is just you cannot counter it. There is nothing you can do. There is this one trick with Breeze that you can do, but I highly doubt that was an intended mechanic. So, yeah, I do hope, right? Like, another example is damageless runs, right? We recently got our first damageless run with Serena. It was posted in the Discord server by a very talented player. I will quickly go ahead and pull up their name, and their name is let's see, I cannot see their name right now because it is censored by Discord, but yeah, it is censored by Discord. Let me quickly go ahead and view if I can see it. Roan Zoner, there we go. So yeah, we have that one, but what multiple people already pointed out, this is not a critique towards him by the way, is that it is very RNG reliant. There's a lot of factors in there where you're like, damn, this person got really lucky with some of this and this stuff and a little bit less lucky with this stuff, right? Which, once again, is something I would prefer it to feel a little bit more like it's in our own grasp, you know? Like, sure, a bit of RNG will always be needed, but a guarantee of an X amount of times certain attacks with low counterability appear would be nice. Now, do I think that this will make or break the game? That if they do not fix this RNG, that it's going to ruin the game and no. No, not really. Once again, these are self-imposed challenge runs. They have stated that they might be looking into implementing something like this, like damageless runs and all that, as maybe a little bit of a reward in the game if you do it. But like for right now, I highly doubt they had damageless in mind. I'm sure maybe it was like a pipe dream, but I highly doubt they made the demo like, oh yeah, somebody is going to do damageless on solo. Hell, they weren't even planning on adding solo in the demo for like a good chunk of it, so you know. But even then, it's not that big of a deal, right? The overall game is still extremely fun, so yeah. We also have to remember that stuff like leveling up your units, potential gear and stats, higher difficulties, other skills and attacks to be unlocked are all still on the horizon. These are features that could very easily even the playing field by giving more ways to counter punish enemies when we play well. Overall, I'm very pleased with what we were shown in the demo. I will be 100% purchasing the early access. If you guys want to check out the game, make sure to check it out on Steam in the description down below. There will also be a link to their official Discord down there. I'm in there as well. I talk in there often, so if you guys want to hang out with me, of course, check that out. My own socials, as always, in the description down below. Do let me know what your guys' thoughts are on the demo, though. Did you enjoy it? Are you planning on getting early access? Let me know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe for more gaming content, including Dragonspire. I've been your host, Eamon519, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye!